guys, okay, today what I have prepared for you, it's a pretty similar comparison between D5 2.10 with PathTrace and Blender and how both softwares deals with rendering, right? I'm going straight forward for the comparison because I'm gonna be comparing quality and render time, okay? So this is D5, right? I had set it up exactly the same for the lights and everything, but because both are different softwares and maybe the material here and there it's not the same, it doesn't have the same UV alignment or things like that, all right? So, but the scene, the light was precisely matched up to be as more similar as I could, okay? And I will show you here. We are using PathTrace with 2 bounces. I want 2 bounces because I want to be fair with both softwares. I'm using 2 bounces in Blender. I'm gonna be using 2 bounces here. And for the sampling, I will be using 213 sampling here. But in Blender I'm using 256 samplings, okay? And let's see how it goes. We have the camera, everything is set up. Let's hit render and go here D5, right? Let's see. Oh, by the way, I've tested with the default D5 against the PathTrace. I will show you, and I feel there's no comparison at all. With PathTrace you get much more, you get way better results in terms of shadowing and reflection, and I will prove that to you, I will show that to you, okay? At the cost of render time, because the default of a D5 it renders super quick, okay? And I think that's the point of D5, right? You render quick, just as Lumion, as Twinmotion, all those softwares, they started to came out years ago, especially Lumion, with approach that it was basically a trade-off between quality and render and speed, okay? And people that sometimes doesn't have a good render farm or access to as many computers as they could have to render out, for example, animation in V-Ray or things like that, they started to use Lumion to deliver lower animation quality. For some clients that was okay, that quality, but animation, okay, because you have to render so many frames, and if you just had one machine at that time and no more resources and a good video card, you would be able to deliver architectural visualization for the clients, to the clients, animation, okay? If it wasn't that, it wouldn't be possible. You needed to be a company with a render farm and take days to render an animation using V-Ray, normally, which was used at that time. But then it came Twinmotion, it came Inkscape, and D5, showing a different approach in which you would be able to deliver, right, better and better quality of images in a short period of time in animation, okay? And then ray trace and all of that came along, the NVIDIA video cards, improvements, so on. But now we reached the point that most of those softwares, they never achieved they never overpassed some limitations that was kind of overpassed by PathTrace no matter what, and then they are kind of implementing that option for the users that want to achieve better quality results for stills especially, because for animation, as I'm gonna show you, PathTrace is PathTrace everywhere, right? in here, depending on how it's implemented or the render engine, it goes in one way or the other way. In here, in D5, this scene took 2 minutes and 17 seconds to be rendered. One single frame at HD resolution. Okay, let's open that. And this is the one. Let's update this to 1D5 2.17 seconds. Okay, 2.17 seconds to render this image, right? Let's go to Blender now. Okay, in Blender I have the same setup, the same lights, and the same scene. Let's render out and see how fast it goes compared with D5, right? I set it up 256 samples, but in Blender you have the option to do more tweaks on your render settings, so I tweaked it a bit using adaptive sampling. Okay, that helps to solve problems on the samplings in some areas, right? And let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, that's the story of all those renderings I've been following. I was playing with the first Lumion version, Octane, all of that in the past, and I'm always trying out a few things. Okay, new things. Okay, it's done. The Blender scene, it took 46 seconds to render. I will save this image here as a Blender 47. If it was 46, let's leave it 47. Okay, and let's compare both scenes and see what is that the D5 bring it more to us, comparing with Blender, to be 2 minutes and 17 seconds compared with Blender that was just 46 seconds. Okay, first I'm gonna open this, the Blender version, and then the 5 version. Just this one, I'll place it right here. Okay, so here we have both versions. Honestly, there are a few things that I like more in one. There are other things that I like more in the other one. Okay, and we are gonna go into the zoom to see how it feels. In general, I feel somehow, that's my personal opinion, that the D5 has a bit of a more depth because the shadows are darker, right, in some areas. But overall, the Blender version looks more realistic to me. And I know sometimes depth helps on realism, but sometimes depth is just because the shadows are darker, and doesn't mean that you feel your scene is more realistic that way. Okay, otherwise you will just need to put the sun on your scene and just a little bit of GI and your scene will be realistic, and that's not what happened. Okay, especially in games, when you turn it on your sunlight, you feel like sometimes it's less realistic than if you have your HDRI approach like in Unreal. Okay, let's pick up some spots. Let's go here first, right? Let's see how it behaves. The wall, the corner of the walls. This ambient occlusion is cool. I like it. Okay, I used to have these on my architectural visualization scenes sometimes, but somehow I feel that this way here is more natural. Okay, it's more natural. I feel that this is warmer and you can get the same look in post-processing. Okay, it's warmer here, but in my opinion it doesn't look more realistic than this one. Look at this area here, look at this area. Okay, I also feel that the anti-alias in Blender is better. In D5 you have more edges. The edges are more rough. Okay. In this area, I feel the GI is better solved here in Blender. Okay. I like the way the light behaves here for D5 as well. I like the way it behaves here in Blender. In Blender we can see, because it's full path trace and D5 has some blending path trace, that in D5 we have some kind of super bright reflections here, and also we don't have any information about shadow in here. In Blender you have some information about shadow in here. It's not that over bright, the reflections. Alright, we have more, that's what I'm talking about, accuracy. Okay, forget about this because I forgot to put the material here. That doesn't matter. Okay, this area, both, I like both, but you can see the edges on D5, the anti-alias edges, it's not that great. Okay, while in Blender it's more natural, because the anti-alias plays a lot. This is the material, right? I basically use it the same roughness for D5, but because in Blender you can control like basically everything, I could control in the material how the refraction of the angle of your object treating it, the reflections. So maybe that's why we got more reflections here. Same thing, like both similar results here. Okay, once we go to the standstill, I feel the standstill in Blender looks more natural, right? Somehow it looks more natural. In here it's reflecting, it has just one bounce of reflection. That's why it's reflecting this area dark. Okay, and in here is reflecting what is reflecting, because it has 5 bounces of reflection. Okay, if I turn it on just one bounce, it will reflect as dark as this one. Okay, and it will render even faster than it was. Okay, just with one bounce of reflection in path trace in D5 it took 2 minutes and 17. If I increase it this, I will get way more render time for sure, because it counts a lot. Okay, this guy here is about normal. That I had removed the normal, but somehow it feels there is a bumpness here, and I don't know why. And I kind of like the way it is here, darker. I kind of feel that I would like to have a little bit darker reflections here in Blender. Okay, both here are fine. Here I forgot to put the texture, but it's fine. So we have a little bit more information about what's going on here in Blender than here, but that's okay. This area is the biggest change. Okay, this area here is the biggest change. Okay, because the bounces on D5, it has this area occluded way more than here. Okay, here it's brighter. I don't know, it's a matter of taste for you, or it's a matter of what you think it's more realistic overall. Okay, uh, I know there is a white wall here behind that's why it's reflecting, because the sun is hitting the white wall here and is bouncing uh, the GI here, and I feel that somehow Blender is more accurate, but the way that D5 solve this, it doesn't bother me. I like it, kind of the contrasting here. I would also add a little bit of more contrast here, okay? Here it's similar thing, however, I feel kind of this a little bit more natural than here. I think this is too dark. I mean, this is blending more with overall. I kind of like more the way it is here in D5, right? This is very similar. The ground, the floor is similar, okay? And I feel overall that this table and the chairs, I feel a little bit more natural here in Blender, honestly, than here, okay? I kind of, this GI here is cool, but it feels less natural. It feels like it's too intense, and maybe for my personal taste, it's not what I'm looking for, but it's okay. It's good as well. Okay, I feel like maybe this is a little bit more soft, more natural. Okay, the reflections still, I think it's still too noisy. Okay, this will be flicking in one animation for sure, and this is soft. Okay, this is soft, right? I feel this reflection here, it works better than here. I think this here works better than here, right? In my opinion, okay? Lemons are okay. I like both. I like both. Both here, it doesn't matter. This still, it looks more natural. The plant, I'm using the foliage material in D5, and actually I like it how it solves the GI here, right? It looks good, but when I see the Blender version, it feels more aligned with realistic, a realistic scene. Okay, this, it feels somehow a little bit more gaming, as well as those edges, those ambient occlusion here. For people that knows screen space ambient occlusion, that's used a lot in game, that look like more something like this than here. Okay, in here it feels more natural. I can kind of add more sampling in it, and it goes maybe to a minute or in 30 seconds to have more details overall, and we will have a better final image, okay? In Blender, I mean in Blender. Because the sampling, it doesn't work the same way in both software, okay? So yeah, that's my comparison. I feel both looks good, okay? It's a matter of who knows how to deal more with each software. It's a good implementation for the 5. I like it a lot, the 5, and how it's turning out to get more options for the user, okay, to achieve more realism. Just for compare, if I turn it on the previous version of the 5 without any GI, you will see the difference is huge, because in some areas you get some, oh no, this is, I can tell when I jump into this and I feel that it's path trace already. Okay, this is the one without path trace, so you can tell like this is fake. Okay, you can tell this is fake right away. So You see these errors comparing with what you now can get. You see this material, okay? So don't take me wrong, the previous version was good, but if you want to achieve more realism, this new version with path trace, it gives you much more. It gives you much more, okay? Because it's way better. In comparing with Blender, I will stick with Blender because I'm very satisfied with what I get in Blender. I have more control, I can achieve different feelings and lookings with playing around with settings on my renders, and that that in the trade-off with render time comparing with D5, still it wins for a far range because with just 47 seconds I could achieve this render, and to achieve these results in path trace it took me 2 minutes and 17 seconds. And when I look both side by side, I can tell, like, I don't know which one I like the most. Okay, if I see just this, I like this. If I see just this, I kind of like this. But I would, for example, if I am a client and I see this with some post-processing, okay, it could impress me better than if I see this, because if I see this I would complain right away about the plant, and mostly the plant, but overall looks good, okay. I will complain about the plant, but my opinion is the 5, it was a great addition for the 5. I will stick with Blender because it's still worth it more, and it's free, and that's it. I hope you guys like this kind of comparison. I don't do that much, and if you use Blender and you want to have some tools that will help you to model procedurally and achieve a couple of things, for example, as you have in D5 for traffic solution, for example, for scattered vegetation, plants, and things like that. Create a nice neighborhood, roads, and things like that. Just check the link below, and if you have the option to get them on Blender Market or Gumroad, always go to Gumroad, because the fees they charge for us, it's way less than Blender Market, so we can reduce the price there. So the tool is cheaper always in Gumroad than in Blender Market. Check it out. If you like this kind of videos, thumbs up. If you don't like, thumbs down, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.